Your tenancy agreement is more than just a formality. It's a legally binding contract that defines the rights and both the responsibilities for both the landlord and the tenant. Getting it wrong can lead to deposit disputes, invalid notices, or even enforcement action if you breach certain laws.
Well, today we'll be talking about what key clauses you should have in your tenancy agreement, while we'll be giving you insight into our special clauses that we've developed over the years that could save you a bit of time and a bit of money.
Hi, Adam and Nabs here. Welcome back to our channel where we provide landlords with property management and compliance advice to ensure property investments are fully protected. So let's go through the key elements every compliant tenancy agreement should have.
So the basics, well, you've got to clearly outline the rent amount, payment frequency, and how the deposit will be handled. So by law, if you take a deposit, it must be protected within 30 days in one of the government-approved tenancy deposit schemes, such as DPS, Mine Deposits, or PDF. You should also include how and when the deposit can be deducted at the end of tenancy, and make sure your tenant receives the prescribed information within those 30 days as well.
We have seen some landlords using old tenancy templates that are not compliant with the Tenant Fees Act, which bans most upfront fees to tenants. That means you cannot charge for things like referencing, admin fees, or checkout fees. Only certain payments are permitted, such as rent, tenancy deposit, holding deposit, and also that has to be only a maximum of 1 week's rent.
Yep.
Payments for lost keys or late rent are allowed as long as it's within reason. And breaching the Tenant Fees Act can lead to a civil penalty of up to £5,000 for a first offence, and unlimited fines or even criminal charges for repeat offending.
Yes, very strict. And also, so another thing you have to factor into your tenancy agreement is data protection and privacy clauses. Now, you also want to include a data protection clause that clearly explains how the tenant's personal data will be used and shared. For example, are you sharing with maintenance contractors, referencing agencies, or local authorities? It's a legal requirement under the UK GDPR that landlords are transparent about how they process tenant data. So if you use an agent, make sure both parties understand who is the data controller and how long personal data will be retained.
Repairs, access, and tenant responsibilities. So the agreement should outline who is responsible for what, such as maintaining appliances, gardening, or minor repairs. Also include details about access, giving 24 hours notice before entering the property for inspections or repairs. Vague or missing terms here are a common cause of disputes, so be wary.
So another factor to make sure is in your tenancy agreement is about uninhabited or unoccupied property clause.
Yeah.
So many landlords overlook this one. If the property will be unoccupied for more than a set number of days, it may breach your landlord insurance policy. So, make sure to include a clause requiring tenants to notify you if they plan to leave the property vacant, for example, for over 14 days,
30 days.
Just so you can, also check your insurance cover and avoid potential claims being refused. So make sure you got those two aligned.
So the reason for that is that if your property is empty and there's a leak, there's no one there to tell anyone there's a leak unless it goes to another property. So insurers like someone in the property, or at least for a very set number of days, which they will calculate the risk for those period of days.
Yeah, just make sure your both agreements are aligned in terms of what is the period.
So other common mistakes include not specifying the correct landlord's or agent's address, which can make a Section 8 notice invalid, failing to reference deposit protection, or include outdated fees that are no longer permitted, which we see in old copy and paste tenancy agreements. There's these fees that are they don't mean anything, and hopefully landlords don't act on them because they would be opening themselves up for litigation. And also not including any relevant clauses from the freeholder or insurance provider. Even a small error can lead to major legal implications if you ever need to regain possession.
Yeah. To help prevent ambiguity when typical scenarios arise, we add in some of the following clauses. Some of them are a bit more rules, expectations, but it's just useful to have them written somewhere. We have clarity regarding holding deposits, forfeiture, should false or misleading information be provided during referencing. So we have that written somewhere, and they get a draft tenancy agreement sent to them. Tenants agree only to replace with LED bulbs. So one thing, sometimes you get halogen bulbs put in. We just want LEDs. Provide LEDs, please provide LEDs back as well.
Landlord is only responsible for pest control for up to 2 months from the tenancy start. After that, it becomes the tenant's liability. So fair enough, if they find mice on day one, the landlord will resolve it, or we will help assist with that. But after 2 months' time, it's their responsibility.
providing it's not like a structural cause or some issue like that. It is reasonable overall. Also, clarity requirements on contamination, like mixing waste type on the bins. This is particularly for communal bins, like blocks of flats. And liability, should the binman not be willing to take it? Yeah, we put that liability on the tenant to make sure that the bins are correctly used.
And this is a common one that all landlords know. So tenant's responsibility for unblocking stoppages in a sink, basin or toilet. So if it's due to hair or waste or oil or anything like that, it clearly states in the tenancy that it's their liability to pay for the clearing of the pipe. But if it's a structural issue, like a defective pipe, then it's the landlord's.
We also have an overriding clause to allow viewings within the last 2 months of tenancy. So usually it's 1 month in templates, but we think that's too short. So we put in 2 months, providing sufficient notice is given. Also, we put in a clause of property to be clean and presentable for viewings, and agreement that photos can be taken so we can give them feedback just to the tenant themselves.
Also, no unwanted items to be put in the washing machine that could block the filter. So notably coins, paper, toothpicks, cigarettes, filter tips, hairbands, hairpins, you get the gist. So a lot of times these items will block the filter, and it's the tenant's liability to remove, clean and make good.
Also, tenant agrees not to use washing powder in the washing machine, instead only liquid and capsules. This helps a thick paste of undissolved powder developing in the filter, and also particularly in the rubber seal as well.
Also, request to sign and return check-in inventory document within 7 days, or deemed as everything is correct and accepted by the tenant, because usually you send out an inventory and not hear back. We will then copy and paste the clause that says after 7 days we didn't hear from you. That meant you accepted the inventory.
Yeah. Also, another one, if provided, a freezer should be defrosted every 6 months.
Yeah, because sometimes tenants don't look after items in the property as much as landlords.
No way. In short, it's also super clear that if you want your property returned back in the same level of cleanliness as the tenancy starts, make sure you put a clause in for that. So that includes oven, upholstery and windows as well. So if you've got clauses for those, make sure that's clear from your expectations.
If an end of tenancy clean is not up to the same standard as check-in, we will charge for additional cleaning services to restore it to its pre-let condition. So they may say that they had a cleaner come round and it was a professional clean, or they did it to themselves to a professional cleaning standard. But if it's not up to how we gave it, then we will send in contractors.
Yeah, and also note that, we do recommend to them use a reputable cleaning company ideally with a service guarantee, and it's also tenant's responsibility to check their contractor's work, that it sure matches with your check-in cleanliness level that you provided to your tenants. Also, if no plumbing issue is reported within the first 30 days of tenancy, the tenant is responsible for any plumbing blockages within the property up until the main stack pipe, unless it's due to, as Adam mentioned, structural functional failure of the pipework.
Also, tenant is responsible for regular wiping down and removing excess water and keeping bathrooms ventilated to prevent mold appearing on the silicone, which is very common.
Yeah.
So those are just some of the clauses that we have. We build them up over time. Hopefully you found them useful. Your tenancy agreement should protect you as much as it protects the tenant, but only if it's legally up to date and correctly worded.
If you'd like to avoid costly mistakes and make sure your agreement is watertight, you can join our next free landlord compliance webinar, where we will break down everything you need to know to keep your property investment protected.
And if you found this video useful, please like and subscribe to stay informed. Thank you.